Hey there, CIS102. It is an unfortunate piece of news that brings this video here to you today that the publisher is no longer offering a reasonably priced text, physical copy of the textbook for us to offer you. The bookstore absolutely positively made the same decision that we would have done as faculty, and that say that the usurious and criminally inflated price of a hard copy textbook was beyond what we could expect students to pay for. We just wish that all of these things didn't happen during the first week of classes. But the good news is we can get this worked out here in pretty short order, I expect. And although the solution here is not a right fit for everyone, I do think that everyone, with the mixture of solutions that we do have for you here in this video, I do think that everyone is going to find something that they can, deal with when it comes to actually, reading and interacting with the eText. Before we get there, just a quick note on going to find a used copy of the text. I spent a couple of hours looking for a 17th edition. Don't bother, they're too expensive. The 16th and 15th editions, though they are only slightly different, are still different enough. And because the publisher is moving away from physical copies, that has made the used market for previous versions of textbooks just ridiculous as well. Like Chegg and Amazon both had really gross looking copies of the 15th edition of the textbook for over $100. And there's no way we would be comfortable saying, yeah, go ahead and go get a stained and missing copy or pages copy, or just otherwise a beat up copy of an old version of the textbook that, though is mostly similar, may have some pretty big changes in it that we just haven't been made aware of. So really the answer here is, if you've already purchased the access card from the bookstore, that's what we're going to use. If you haven't already purchased the access card from the bookstore, go ahead and do that, because that's the one that we are going to use. So what we'll highlight in the rest of this video is how to use the eText from a desktop, how to use the eText from, and I'm going to call it a tablet, an iPad, or an Android device, and how to use the Pearson text app. You can do that on your phone, you can do that on your iPad, you can do that on an Android device. And it makes the content available for you. So it's not a perfect fit for everybody, and we really do, as faculty, we have been adamant that we want to keep physical copies of the textbook for students who prefer the physical copy. It's just that the publisher really has forced our hand here, because at $400 for a physical copy of a textbook, that is criminal, and we won't do that. So we're going to pick this video up immediately here with how to access the eText on a computer, a Mac, a Windows PC, or a Chromebook. It doesn't matter. They all look the same from here. So once you're signed in to your course, so you can do that in the Eagle course shell just by going on the left-hand side to My Lab and Mastering, and what that'll do is bring you over here to whichever one of these CIS102 shells belongs to your course. So very probably, well, by unit volume, I suppose, probably this won't be your course, but it might actually be. But whichever one you're in is going to be the course that belongs to you. Now, you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, I do have a couple of items here that you won't see. That's because I'm signed in as an instructor, and you will see something a little bit different as a student. But the important thing that you can see here is going to be course materials. When you click through to course materials, it's going to take just a moment to go ahead and load up. These are the course materials that are part and parcel of the eText. So the very top one, Technology in Action 17E, is the textbook, which used to be physical potentially. The skills for success, that is the components that belong to Microsoft Office suite. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access, and you will not be able to see the third one there. So we're just going to do a quick demo here with the textbook. So if we click on Technology in Action 17E, you can see the eText is here on top and the individual chapters are there below for the additional materials. So anything that you will see in any of the homework assignments, so whether or not it's an active help desk or an end of chapter quiz or any of the other TIA study aids things, those are going to be located in here. So if I click on the eText, that's exactly what this is going to be, is our actual text. You probably will not have that second one. So if I click on the TIA, what you're going to notice is it's going to take a moment, actually, and that doesn't matter on any device that you're at. It does take a moment to load, and it's going to load in another window. If you notice that it doesn't load, it's probably because you have pop-ups blocked. And if you look up above on the URL bar, which mine is not recording here so you cannot see, but if you look up above on the URL bar, there will be a little notification that says pop-up blocked. If you go ahead and click that and say allow or enable, depending on your browser, that's usually the language there that you'll see. Another window is going to pop up just like it does here with the text in it. And if not, you let your instructor know and we'll try and help you out there. So this is what the text is going to look like. You can scroll down here through the text to see that, so this is Technology in Action, Part 1, Technology in Society. If I click over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to get the table of contents. And that's right here, the impact of technology in a changing world, Chapter 1, the impact of technology in a changing world. And here we are, Technology in Society. So then I'm just scrolling down through the same content that we were doing before to go from section to section within a chapter. Down here on the lower right hand corner, you'll see, and actually here on the lower left hand corner of that window, you'll see little bumper markers. Those bumpers mean you can go forward or back a section. So that's how you would interact with the eText here. What I will say as a benefit to having to use the eText as opposed to the physical copy of the text is the search, which is over here on the left hand side. Once you click on search, you can search for something in here. So if you know that, if you're at the end of the chapter quiz and you're looking for, I think the answer to this was Twitter, but I'm just not sure. You can go ahead and put that here in the search and boom, it's going to locate for you all of the mentions of Twitter, which is far easier than having to page and page and page through a textbook to get it. So that's at least a little bit of a benefit here for doing this as an eText. So this works on a Mac, on a PC, and on a Chromebook. The next section here is going to be what this looks like on an iPad using Chrome. Now, iPad or Android tablet using Chrome. So now I'm over here on my iPad, that's this, and the experience is not terrible. There's a couple of things here to know before you proceed. And the first of those is that here you'll notice that I am using Chrome. If you are on an iPad, if you are on an Android tablet, Chrome is the best browser here to use. When I was testing this, it did not work with Firefox. It did not work reliably with Internet Explorer. Edge, and it worked unreliably with Safari. So Chrome is the best option here for successfully using an Android or an iOS tablet. Now, if anybody is going to be using a Kindle reader, actually you should go or an Amazon Fire tablet, so they have 7, 8, and 10-inch tablets as well. Go to the next part about the Pearson Text app, because there is a Pearson app for the Amazon Fire tablet line of goods. So you'll come over there for that. Now, the important thing here in Chrome to do is when we are using the page here like we are, a little pop-up window comes around and says allow pop-ups, and it's right here. And you do want always show. Without that, the text is not going to be able to fire into its secondary window. So this one's just blank. And here back on this page, you can say remind me later. But if you don't allow pop-ups from Pearson, the textbook will not show up. So you would enter here your username and your password. Remember, very, very probably you would have used your S number at student.rockvalleycollege.edu. That would be preferable, and we'll catch you after I've signed in. After you have signed in, after you have followed through to whichever one of the CIS102 courses that you are using. Remember, again, if you were doing this through Eagle, you could simply tap over on the left-hand side in My Lab and Mastering and come over here to My IT Lab as well. Mine doesn't work in the very same way that yours does, so I can't demo that previously. So now that we're in here with our My IT Lab course shell, we would go again over to Course Materials. And you'll notice that this fires off into a secondary tab. That's exactly what we wanted. Now, just in case you are using, like I am using here, a small iPad, what you're going to want to do is turn that to the side in landscape orientation. If it's in portrait orientation, this is true of every iPad I tested. So on an iPad mini and an iPad 11-inch, I did have to rotate into landscape, so the long version, in order for the textbook to show. So just in case you're not seeing it, go ahead and give that a rotate and make sure that that's not the issue that you're seeing. So from here again, I can go ahead and click in Technology in Action. That's our text. And I can click on the eText again, just like I could on a desktop, and I can click on our textbook here again. You'll notice that fires off into a new tab, just like it did the previous times, and textbook. So the same procedure that works on your desktop will work on an iPad or an Android tablet, so long as two things are happening. One, that you are in landscape orientation, and two, that you are using Chrome with pop-ups allowed. The very final way that we can do this here is probably the most satisfying, probably the best analog to what a physical textbook would have been, and that is with the Pearson Text app. So here we are again on my iPad, and as you can see, I had the name wrong before. It is called Pearson Plus. This is the slightly nicer version. The Pearson Text app is kind of the -1 version. So you can also see by the little download button I have there that I went and grabbed this one, and I'll tell you it's much more polished looking than the other version, the Pearson Text app. But if for whatever reason you have that app from before, I've tested them both, and all of my Pearson textbooks do show up in both apps. So at the very least, there's that. So this is the one I'm going to suggest that we use, is the Pearson Plus US eTexts app. Very fancy name. So I'm going to go ahead and download this, and we'll go catch you back in the app. So once I've opened the app, you don't see it here above any longer because I waited too long to sign in. It's going to give you a notice on iOS, at least, if you want Pearson to send you notifications. I said no, and I haven't felt any ill effects from that yet in the day that I've been testing it. I think that probably you'll be okay without the notifications. So this is where you would use your username that you had used in, the desktop version of getting over to my lab. So very, very probably again your S number at student.rockvalleycollege.edu and your password. So after that, hit enter and you'll be granted access. Once you've entered your username and password, you are going to see this splash screen letting you know that there are audio components to everything that you're gonna see in here. So that's good, honestly. So you can go ahead and tap next. You're going to see custom flashcards and stuff, whatever. You can hit next, and all your crap is in here. Fantastic. You can go ahead and hit next. So all of your textbooks are going to be in here. I have a much larger list of textbooks than you are very, very probably going to have. So it will be the one at the upper left-hand corner, unless, of course, you are using, my math lab or the nursing lab or any of the other My Lab stuff. Those are all going to be housed in here as well. So if I was to go ahead over here and click on download for my eText, it's going to go ahead and grab that. The process goes very, very quickly. I've tested this on 2 iPads already, and it hasn't, told me I can't be signed in on one iPad while I'm signed in on another. So for whatever that's worth, it's easy enough to be able to use. Once you have it downloaded, you can say begin. And the benefit to doing it this way is you do not need an active internet connection. For all of the other ways we showed you on a desktop or on a tablet using Chrome, you did need an active internet connection. When I was in the office yesterday testing all of this out, that was actually the most troublesome component. Was when I was walking around campus, I didn't have a robust wireless internet connection every place. So there were times where pages would drop out. This one, on the other hand, is downloaded to your local device. So there's nothing that you have to go and grab from any place else. So if I go ahead and click on the table of contents and I go to the impact of technology, here it is. The same pages that we were seeing before, the same left and right bumpers on the bottom here that go from section to section. All of it is the same. Now, yours may not be a black background with a white background or a white foreground. I have dark mode turned on because I've done development for years and years, and I know that your eyes will burn up with a white background and a dark foreground. So if you turn on night mode while you're reading, that's a lot easier on your eyes. If you need help doing that, just reach out to one of our instructors and we will help you do that. So there are 3 ways to be able to get the textbook without having to pay the criminal amount for the physical copy. You can do it on any kind of a desktop, a PC, a Mac, or a Chromebook. You can do it on any kind of a tablet, a Mac, on an iOS device, on an Android device, and actually with the Pearson eText here, you can do that on an Amazon Fire device as well. So again, from all of us instructors, we're sorry that we did have to go this route. The publisher did force our hand, but it does lend a little bit of flexibility where otherwise maybe you wouldn't have had it. So if you're having difficulty with any of these pieces, please go see your instructor and we will help you get what you need to have your textbook on whatever device it is that you're going to be reading it on. So there you have it. Go ahead, if you haven't already done so, do get the access card from the bookstore. It's the easiest way to do that. Otherwise, you could also, just with a credit card, go ahead over on the left-hand side of your screen. When you are in Eagle, click through the My Lab and Mastering link and go to the course. When you sign in for the first time, you can actually just elect to pay with your credit card then. So a little different than we all of us envisioned here, CIS 102, but I think we've got a good amount of alternatives to keep moving forward.